Hello students, I am here with another video from the chapter Our Environment from class 10th NCERT book. Before starting today's video, I would like to tell you all that till now what all things we have discussed in this chapter. So we have discussed about the topic. We have started with the word what is environment. So environment means it is a surrounding where we are living, and then we discussed about that what is the meaning of what, how the interactions are taking place, and if we are living, then we have interactions between the living and the non-living things. So the living things of an ecosystem is known as the biotic factors, and those which are non-living things, which are they are known as the those which are non-living, they are known as abiotic factors. Now when we talk about interactions, we need to study about the ecosystem. So ecosystem is of different types. And now what is the ecosystem? Ecosystem means it is the sum total, it is the interaction between the biotic and abiotic factors. Now if biotic and abiotic factors are taking place, the interaction is taking place, then what happens? It is going to help in the interaction that could be positive as well as negative. So for interaction, the ecosystems are different types. We need to see the ecosystem types. So we have discussed about the different types of ecosystem where the artificial and the natural ecosystem is there. So in the natural ecosystem, there could be terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystem. So in terrestrial ecosystem means it is an ecosystem which is going to be formed in the nature, and it is already present. So it could be on land, so it is known as terrestrial ecosystem. Now if it is in water, it is known as aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem could be, the examples of terrestrial ecosystem is the grassland ecosystem, or it could be a forest ecosystem. Now if we talk about the aquatic ecosystem, it could be of two types. One is the marine ecosystem, and the other one is the freshwater ecosystem. So where freshwater, the river ecosystem could come, the others could come where the fresh water is present, for example the pond, the lakes. Okay, so these were the examples which we have already been discussed. Now next interaction in ecosystem, first interaction was ecosystem, and the second interaction is this food chain and the food webs. So this we have discussed yesterday in the food chain, that it is a relationship where one animal is the food for the other animal, and we could say that in the ecosystem, in the food chain, the law of being and eat means eat and being eaten up, we have to study. So eat means the animals are going to eat each other, and then that particular animal will be eaten up by some other animals. Similarly, we talk about the food webs, where the many food chains are going to continue and they are going to form the different food webs. So food web is the interaction between different food chain at a single time. Why single time? Because if we are talking about the forest, then it is not only one single animal upon which only one animal is dependent. So upon this deer, if we are talking about, so on this deer there could be several animals with which it is being dependent. Okay, so this animal would be eaten up by many animals which are present in the forest. Okay, so we have already been discussed about this food web and the food chain. So food chain, the differences also. So now and yesterday, I was discussing about this 10% law. What is the meaning of this 10% law? This says that this picture is showing you that if we take one food chain, this food chain is starting from the producer, which is a green plant. It is being eaten up by the herbivore. This herbivore in turn is eaten up by the carnivore. As we have discussed that these animals, these plants, they need to perform their body functions also. They need to perform their life processes also. Now if they are performing life processes, then what happens? What will happen? They are going to give out some energy. Now from where is this energy coming? First the question is that. So this energy is going to come from the sun in the form of solar energy, in the form of photosynthesis, in the form of food, where this food is being stored inside the plant. Now if the plant is having this 1000 joules of light energy which is being trapped, it is only going to trap the 1% of the sun's energy. Okay, it is going to form, it is going to have the sun's energy. Now next is that 1000 joule of energy is being taken up. So upon this, 10 joules of energy is being available as food. Now with this 10 joule will be passed to the deer, then again 990 joules of energy will be lost in the environment in the form of heat, or there would be life processes going on in the plants, animals, herbivores and the carnivores. Okay, so just remember that only a very small portion of energy is going to be transferred from one place to another place. Means it is going to transfer from one trophic level to another trophic level. So if where is that energy going? Where is that 90% of energy going? 90% of energy is going in maintaining the temperature, in maintaining the food chain, in maintaining their life process. So very less amount of energy is being transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level. So how much is that? That is only the 10% of the energy available. So what is being available? About 1000. What about 10%? Only 10 joules of energy will be passed from the producer to the consumer, that is the herbivorous animals. Okay, so now if we talk about the next part, that is if, and yes, this is going to happen in each and every food chain. Just remember, it's not only one single food chain where this is happening. This process of transference of energy is happening on each and every food chain. Now if food web is, we talk about food web, it means that there would be several, there will be many food chains which are working together. Okay, so this means that in each and every food chain, this 10% law will be followed. Now what is this 10% law? I'll explain this again. This was just the explanation according to the picture. Now the 10% law states that only 10% of energy is being entered in a particular trophic level from one trophic level to another trophic level. Here a very simple example is given, that 1000 joules of energy is being produced in the form of photosynthesis. Then what happens? Only 1% is going to transfer. Means 1% is being trapped and only 10% is going to be transferred. Okay, to the next generation, that is to the deer, and then it is going to form. Then it is going to pass the next 10% of that particular energy, that will be about 0.1 joules, to the carnivorous animals. So if producers are there, producers will trap only 1% of the sunlight, and from that 1% also only 10% is being transferred. Where is that 90% going? 90% is just going to maintain the life processes, to maintain the ecosystem, to maintain the life cycle of the animals and which are participating in this food chain. Okay, now for example, first suppose that you are taking 1000 joules of energy which is being received by the green plants, then only 1% of solar energy is being available on the earth to utilize by the plant. So please understand that only 1% of the sun's radiant energy is being used by the plant. It is because that rest of the energy is going into the process of maintaining the life processes and also maintaining the temperature of the particular food chain, okay, or the animal. Next is that what happens to the next part? So only 1%, only 10% of the 10 joules, that is 1% of 1000 joule is being trapped by the plants, and rest 990 joules of energy is being lost in the environment. That is what was being told here in this topic. Okay, so where you can see that the light energy which is being trapped, only 990 joules of energy was just left out. It was lost to the environment, and only 10%, 10 joule of energy was being transferred to the herbivorous. So next is that so the plant utilizes only 10 joules of energy. Next, only 10% of energy of this 10 joule, that is 1 joule. Okay, 10% of the 10 joules of energy, because from that one 10% was used. Now from that 10% again 10% will be used. So 10 upon 100 into 10, what will be the answer? Okay, so it will be 1% of energy is utilized. It is going to transfer from one trophic level, from plants to the herbivorous animals. Now again 9, from this also 9 joules of energy is being lost, and only 1% of energy will be transferred in the carnivorous animals, where only 0.1 carnivorous animals will have 0.1 joules, whereas 0.9 joules of energy is lost to the environment. the concept remains same, that only a very small portion of light is a very small proportion of energy is being transferred from one generation to the another generation. Okay, and this is known as the law of 10%. Okay, so this was about the law of 10% or the 10% law, where only 10% of energy is being transferred from one trophic level to the another trophic level, whether it is producer, whether it is consumer. Okay, so this was about the 10% law. And if you talk about more and more in this is also known as Liebig's law, or sometimes it is generally being used as the 10% law. Okay, so don't be confused. It is very simple, that 1% is absorbed by the radiant in the form of radiant energy of the sun. Then from this 1%, this 10% of energy is being utilized. 1% from that 1%, only 10% of energy is utilized. Now where is that 9% of energy going? It is going in the environment in the form of heat and light, or in the form of heat, in the form of energy. Okay, so children, that was about the 10% law, where this 10% law is going to tell us that if we are having the food chains, then only very less percentage of energy is being transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level, and that is only 10%. So where the plants are absorbing only 1%, and from that 1% also only 10% of energy is being transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level. Okay, now when we are moving from now with this 10% law is very easy to understand. Now next we will move on to the next slide, that shows you about the three main topics, that is the environment, then biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Now when we are talking about the food chain and the food web, then we have talked much about the interactions. Now if interactions are taking place, then what will happen next? So if interaction is taking place, then it could be a very good interaction that could be seen in the form of the ecosystem. And if the interactions are not good, then what happens? We will also form some waste if interactions are going on. So environment always work from the interaction of the physical and the chemical and the biological features of or the factors of the environment. Now one such factor is also the waste, which is being developed just because it is being produced in the environment. Okay, now what happens? The waste could be of two types. It could be biodegradable or non-biodegradable, and this very it's a very you can say it's an old word which is telling you about the biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste, where this biodegradable waste is again a long word which is made up of two words, bio and degradable. So what is the meaning of the word degradable here? Degradable means it is a waste, it is a type of waste which could be easily be biodegraded, means it is easily being broken down into smaller pieces with the help of an organism, with the help of microorganisms, and that becomes biodegradable waste. Now what about non-biodegradable waste? So this non-biodegradable waste means, again it is a long word, it is non-biodegradable. So non means it's not, bio means life, and degradable means to break down into small pieces. Now if the wastes are not able to be broken down into smaller pieces, they are known as non-biodegradable waste. Now why these wastes are being produced? These wastes are always being produced as a result of the interaction. So I said interaction it could be good or it could be bad. So if it is a good interaction, it gives rise to different food chain, and it also helps in the sustenance of the food chain, the working of the food chain. And if it is not good, it is also as a result of the interaction these wastes are also produced. Now if biodegradable wastes are there, then it could be easily be broken down into smaller pieces with the help of the microorganisms. So the waste which are being broken down by the activity of microorganism and the entire and this waste which is broken down and becomes simpler is going to enter inside the biogeochemical cycle, and this is also known as biological waste. Okay, or it is also known as biodegradable waste. where these waste could be biodegraded with. Now why biodegraded? Because here microorganisms are involved. These could be the saprophytic animals, which helps in the process of biodegradation. So with the biodegradable waste, most of the waste is going to be broken down and the waste products which are being formed is always being decreased in number. Okay, now if it decreases in number, why it is decreasing number? Because it is being biodegraded with the help of these microorganisms. Now if microorganisms are not able to work, it is going to convert that waste in the form of non biodegradable waste. Why? Because non biodegradable wastes are those wastes which are not being able to be broken down into smaller pieces with the help of the microorganisms. Okay, so here non biodegradable waste could be broken down. It could not be broken down with the help of the enzymes produced by microorganisms. Now what are the examples of biodegradable and non biodegradable waste? The examples of biodegradable waste means the fruit peels, the vegetable peels, it could be the leaves, dry plants, dead plants, all these could be biodegradable waste. Okay, animal dung and kitchen waste, it could be forest waste, it could be the agricultural waste. All these lies under the heading of biodegradable. And what about non biodegradable waste? Non biodegradable waste, the example could be glass, metals. Okay, so all these are the non biodegradable things which cannot be broken down by microorganisms. See, recycling and non biodegradation both are different things. So in recycling, a new product is formed. In biodegradation, it is being utilized by the different parts, or it is going to be utilized in the different, this non biodegradable waste is not being able to be utilized, but the recycled product could be utilized somewhere. Okay, so this was about non biodegradable and biodegradable waste. Fine. So I would show you the next slide, which tells you about some of the difference between biodegradable and non biodegradable waste. Okay, so here is the table which is showing you the differences between biodegradable and non biodegradable waste. So the first thing which is shown here is that this this biodegradable waste is going to be broken down by by nature, or it could be broken down into smaller pieces by the microorganisms. And if the microorganisms are involved, then that is why only it is known as biodegradable. Okay, so this is because the organisms are involved. If organism would not have been involved, it would have been converted in the form of non biodegradable waste. So if in nature microbial action is taking place, microbes are there, bacteria are there, certain fungi are there, they are going to be these are going to break down the waste in the form of the smaller, simpler substances. Since these wastes are the complex organic substances, so what happens, they could be broken down into smaller parts with the help of the microbes. Okay, now if non biodegradable waste is there, it is not going to be broken down by microbes. Next point says the biodegradation forms the harmless and non poisonous products. Now how does this happen? As we know that biodegradation always takes place under the action of microbes or by the action of microbes. So these microbes are eating up these harmless products, and even these are going to eat the harmful products, but they are biodegradation. There the biodegradation is possible. So these types of waste will be eaten up by the animals, by the small animals, by small microorganisms, and they convert those larger products or the complex products in the form of harmless, non poisonous products. Okay, so it's very easy to understand that biodegradation word always have been present in your mind, and we have also studied about this in many classes. Okay, so this tells us much about the action of whether the organism is acting on that waste or not. If it is acting and it is breaking down into simpler substances, so complex substance is broken down into the simple substance. Okay, so this is broken down into it breaks down into simple substances. So this is known as biodegradation. Okay, and non-biodegradation means it is non-biodegradable waste, means it is a waste by which is being produced because of the action. It is not possible for the microbes to biodegrade it. That is why it is known as non-biodegradable waste. Glass is there, so glass is not eaten up by the microorganisms, it will be recycled. Tin is there, metal is there, it is not going to be non-biodegraded by the microorganisms. We have never heard that a microorganism is eating the copper product, or it is eating the metallic products. So if we talk about non-biodegradation, it means that the microorganisms are not being involved in such kinds of biodegradation. That is why it becomes non-biodegradable. Okay. Now next point says that they release raw material back in the nature. So the biodegradation, it is going to help in the release of the material back into the nature. How? This is possible when the larger amount of reactants or the raw materials which are biodegradable waste is again broken down into simpler products, and these simpler products are always mixed with the soil. Now if it is mixing with the soil, then it is going to be formed, it is going to be released back in the nature. Okay, it's very simple to understand now. So if biodegradation is happening, it is going to release its material back into the nature. And sometimes non-biodegradable waste, they are not going to reduce their products into the nature, because since it is a non-biodegradation, then it is not possible for the plants, it is not possible for the microorganisms to release those raw materials back into the atmosphere or in the nature or in the soil. Okay. Now next thing is that fourth point, it says that pollutes the environment only when they are produced in the quantity beyond capacity of the environment to degrade them. Now do you think that biodegradable waste could have some harmfulness, or it could have certain harm to the nature? It is going to give some harm to the nature? I feel the answer would be no. But sometimes if the excess of beyond capacity, if the waste is being generated, or if the waste is being produced by those microorganisms, then they start polluting the environment. But that pollution and the soil pollution or the air pollution would be very much different from each other. And if we're talking about different types of pollution here, then I think biodegradable wastes will form less pollutants. Why it is going to form less pollutants? Because it is all biodegraded. Whereas in non-biodegradable waste, they are being thrown in a small amount only, they are going to give rise to a large amount of pollution. Okay, if non-biodegradable waste are being dumped into the soil, it is going to it is not going to be broken down by the microorganisms. For example, plastics are there or polythenes are there, they are not being they are not being eaten up by the plants. They are not eaten up by the microorganisms. They are non-biodegradable substances. Then what happens? They will be recycled. So this is known as this could be the next point, that non-biodegradable waste, they produce the more pollution, whereas the biodegradable waste are producing very less pollution. Only when it is going to produce a large amount of pollution, it is possible only when a very large amount of the product is being generated, and that is beyond capacity, but that is not very much possible. Okay. Next is bioconcentration does not occur. Now what is this bioconcentration? So bioconcentration means it is a way by which the trophic level is having the increase in the toxic substance. The toxic substance is going to move from one place to another place, from one trophic level to another trophic level, and this is going to increase in number. This is known as biomagnification or bioconcentration, which occurs in the waste and it enters inside the food chain. Once it is entering inside the food chain, it is going to harm both the animals and the plants. Now see, this biodegradation is very much important, and if biodegradation is not taking place, then it is for sure that biomagnification would happen. So biomagnification, what is that? Bio and magnification, again two words, bio and magnification. So biomagnification means it is a way by which the plants are going to plants are going to take up the fertilizers or the harmful products, then it will pass on to that plant would be eaten up, so that fertilizer or the insecticide and pesticide would be present inside that plant. Now where it will go, it will go inside the next animal which is eating it. Okay, so when it is eating the waste products, the plants which are full of the waste or biomagnified waste, then what happens, this waste is entering inside the next trophic level, means herbivorous animals. Now once herbivorous animal is having that toxic waste, it will be passed to the carnivorous animals, and the concentration increases. Why? Because one animal could have various sources of this biomagnification. The animal is drinking water, the animal is living in the surroundings, so pesticide, insecticide is not going to go anywhere, it is going to be present in the atmosphere, and that too in the environment. It is going to enter inside the food chain, and once something enters inside the food chain, it has to circulate, whether it is an energy or it is the toxic substance or the harmful substance. So this was about bio concentration or biomagnification. Okay, both are the same things. Now what happens if the biodegradable waste is present, it is going to be decomposed by the microorganisms, whereas non-biodegradable waste, they will not be decomposed by the microorganisms. So if it is not being decomposed, it is entering inside the food chain, it is going to enter inside the food chain. Once the toxic substance is going to enter inside the food chain, it is going to be magnified. How it is going to magnified? Because plant is taking up water from the roots, from the water bodies, it is going to pass the harmful substance to the herbivorous. That herbivorous is drinking water, again that water body is being polluted. Okay, it is going to enter inside the food chain, and it is going to be biomagnified as it is moving from one trophic level to another trophic level. Now the last difference says that recycling is possible or both naturally or by human efforts. So in the biodegradable waste, that could be recycled naturally, or it could be done through human efforts. Next thing is that recycling is always possible only by the human efforts in non-biodegradable waste. Now to maintain these waste, we need to recycle them. So the process, some of the ways are there which is responsible for the biodegradable waste to be disposed of, such as composting, manuring, many are there. So we have always seen these are the very common ones: manuring, green manuring, then the composting. So it is a way by which the biodegradable waste is converted in the form of manure, and that manure is not harmful enough, so it is going to be used in the fields. Whereas the products which are being recycled, such as in the non-biodegradable waste, there is no option for doing the degradation, because microorganisms are not able to biodegrade it. So what happens to the waste? It is going to accumulate, it is going to be present on the earth's surface, because they are going to be present as they are not being biodegraded, so it will be recycled, and that will be fully dependent upon the human efforts only, otherwise it is not going to be recycled. Okay, so this is about the recycling of the non-biodegradable waste and the biodegradable waste. Fine, so this was all about the biodegradation and non-biodegradation. Now some examples you could include in biodegradable waste: it could be leaves, dry plants. Okay, it could be the waste, like it could be some waste from the kitchen, it could be the waste from the agricultural field. Okay, so it could be any waste which is obtained from the nature, it is obtained from the natural products. Okay, and if we talk about the non-biodegradable waste, this non-biodegradable waste, this could include all the recyclable products like plastics, the metals, iron scrappings, okay, the glass bottles, metallic bottles or metallic pieces. So it could be any waste which is being produced from the human efforts. Now this recycling is also done with the help of the human efforts. Okay, so biodegradation produces less waste, whereas non-biodegradation produces more waste. So children, that was all about the biodegradation and non-biodegradation, okay, or non-biodegradable products. So these differences are very much important, and I think now it will be clear for you all. So this new word, this is bio accumulation. This one, bioaccumulation, is an important thing to discuss. So I'll take some more time to discuss this again, and with the help of the diagram I'll explain this. And again, this is a very important term which you need to know. So this biomagnification, just remember, biomagnification is a way by which the toxic substances are magnified. And how they are being magnified? Because there is interaction between the plants and the animals, okay. So if interacting, then it is this toxic substance is going to be utilized, or it could circulate in the ecosystem, in the food chains. Fine. Now what happens, so we have seen that there could be so many differences, and I think some more differences you could also include in it, because this topic is a very vast one, and composting is being done, manuring is being done, so it produces less amount of harmful substances. And sometimes it is used it is done in the homes also. If kitchen waste is produced, then you could make one composting pit, you add those biodegradable waste there, and you cover it with the soil, you put some red worms there which is going to eat up all these biodegradable waste. Then they grow in size, then they are going to produce they are going to litter, and that litter or the waste product which they are excreting, that becomes manure, and that is utilized in the fields very easily. Fine. So children, this is how the biodegradation is being done. So that was about the biodegradation and non-biodegradation. Once if non-biodegradation happens, then the waste is always present, so it could be biomagnified because it is entering in the food chain. If something is eaten up by the animals, and if it is bad, then it is going to remain there for a long time, okay. So this is known as bioconcentration or bioaccumulation, okay. So that was all about the differences between biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Now children, that is what is we studied today, and the 10% law is very much important here. So this 10% law we have seen, and then we have seen this types of waste produced. Now that was all about today's video children. I will meet you all in the next video with the next topic to be discussed, okay.